My kids will remind me that I do not belong on YouTube. I don't belong on TikTok.
It's all in how you prompt it. It's all in how you prompt it. It's how you use it. And you could really get a lot out of that technology.
If there's a company out there listening right now, you should be first to market to that.
Oh my gosh, we can make a lot of money.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on Taurus Tech Talk. We have two very special guests with us today, Dan O'Donnell and Chris Neto.
Yes.
From Midwich. I've had a hard time transferring the Starin to Midwich story. So if I say Starin, please forgive me. I think others out there will forgive me.
It's all good.
I mean, we're big in the Midwest, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what that's considered?
Yeah. Central.
Indiana?
Central.
Yeah, we're big in Indiana.
That was going to be one of my questions, is what the origin of the name is.
Starin or Midwich?
Midwich.
Now there's rumors.
Okay. That's coming up.
All right, let's do it.
So, Chris, a lot of people know you. I said, man, you're famous. Why? I know you from somewhere. As soon as you walked in the door, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in Pro AV, and what your role is today?
Sure. My name's Chris Neto. I am the head of emerging markets now for Midwich, which is fairly new, about a week and a half, 2 weeks old, I guess. Fresh. I went to NAB with a brand new title and business card. So
You're lucky you had the business cards while you were there.
I did not have that. I had a QR code.
That's all you
had
need.
it on a name tag.
That's all you need.
So I've been doing this since '98. I graduated college with a degree in broadcast communications. I spent a year with the New York Giants as an intern back in the day, so I do have deep roots in the football conversation that we were having earlier. As a video intern, so I worked internally with the team at the time doing the practice footage, and during the game I was on the sidelines running prints type stuff. But I've been doing this now for about 20-something years, 28 years, I guess, almost 30. I love what I do. But what I'm known for more recently is I created and founded the AV and the AM chat that happens on Sunday mornings. At any given point, we were up to about 7 to 9 million impressions on a Sunday morning when people said there was no AV talk. Pretty much just a 5-question conversation I have going. It's been going on for about 7 years.
That's incredible.
I've done some other things that have gotten me virally connected in the world, and it happened late in life. My kids will remind me that I do not belong on YouTube. I don't belong on TikTok. I don't belong on any of that stuff. So,
yeah. I don't think the kids really can grasp that. Their absorption of content's a little bit different from what we enjoy from our day-to-days.
They are my greatest teachers.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
I learned from some of the road dogs that have spent many years on the road. When I first got into the business, they respect the cuts, the scrapes, the bruises, the dings and the dents on your arms, right? I grew up pretty much in the industry with those guys. But then there came a switch where now I'm learning from the younger generation. And a lot of it makes sense, especially for our world. Video first is going to be pushed by the younger generation more so than emails and texts, because that's not even cool anymore.
So I got to know, are you a Giants or Jets fan today?
Giants fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was no hesitation there.
There's none.
Okay.
Absolutely none. The Jet fans are crazy. Every year it's their year. Every year it's a disappointment. It's just, I have long.
That sounds a lot like Cowboys fans.
Well,
yeah.
This year's our year.
I shouldn't have brought up football.
No.
I mean, who's the team you root for?
I don't really. I just want to watch good football. Okay. I see what you're doing.
Okay. I just am curious. I can't remember.
I'm a homer. When I grew up, in the DNA that is in my body, it was against any form of religion to not watch and root for the Cowboys. We would sit in very specific seats each Sunday or Monday if they were playing. And okay, that's your seat. And then if they were losing, we'd switch seats. And yeah, there's a lot of
Are they even still America's team?
I think so,
I think
man.
you guys have earned it.
No. We are so not America's team. No.
The innocent part is I guarantee you Corey doesn't know how bad the Giants have been, and he did not mean that.
No, I do.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
It's been horrible. Growing up a Giants fan, I still have in my office a Polaroid of me 7 years old with Phil Simms and LT signed on the back, after that big run. And, same thing. It's like, it's in your DNA.
Yeah.
You grew up a Giants fan. And it's funny too, because where we grew up, not too far from each other, is you're either Giants and Yankees or Jets and Mets.
Mhm.
And the Jets and Mets, well, poor fans.
Well,
But now,
yeah, Jets, Mets, and Nets. They like three, very small syllables.
yeah.
Yeah. Horrible.
So Dan, tell us about yourself. How did you get into this industry?
It's an industry that I think I got in. I'll never be able to get out, which is kind of funny. So right out of high school, I started working in AV sales at a local AV retailer, selling projection TVs and home theater and stuff like that, which was really cool on the Jersey Shore. And then got recruited to go work for Toshiba. Worked there for some time. Then I got recruited to work for a small HDMI company for almost 13 years, Crestron, and then right during 2020, right? I don't like to say the C word or the P word because I have a swear jar in the house.
I understand.
Yeah. And we did a road trip. We were living in PA at the time, down to Orlando. We'd go to Orlando all the time. We're big Disney fans. And my cousin, who moved to the west coast of Florida, said, you got to come check out Siesta Key. I've never been to the west coast other than Tampa for work and then, head back up north or whatever next city I was going to in my travels. And then we found this area and we're like, oh my gosh, we want to move here. And then our now boss, Bill Reamer, posts on LinkedIn, which Chris and I like to use LinkedIn a lot. It's an amazing tool,
Yes.
especially for salespeople, that he's looking for somebody in New York Metro. And I had a really good friend at the time that's working at a manufacturer, and he was just not happy. They weren't doing the right thing. So I connected Bill and my friend. Bill hires him, and then I came 6 months after. So it's pretty cool. And the way I look at it, we talk about sports. It's so interesting because I've either been, retail for like 4 years, but then 20 years on the vendor side, on the manufacturer side. I look at distribution and what we do, especially specialty distribution, as like a fantasy owner. And yes, I have many great players to put on the field, but you can call me or anybody on your team can call anybody, inside our organization on our sales team, talk about the project. We ask you about, what's the customer's expectations, and we get to put the best players on the field, which is
I
so
like
much
that
fun.
analogy a lot. I'm going to use that.
I think it also applies to what you guys do with integration. People come in, they don't necessarily ask for a name brand, right? Unless they're like, oh, well, it's what's on the touchscreen in the center of the room. But a lot of times they come to you all with like, hey, we have this conference room. We have this experience center. We have these classrooms. We're trying to create a collaboration space like what you have here with the high top in the war room. I'm thinking about, man, architects, engineers, design firms, like they would all love to have something like this versus laptops in a room, a 50-foot HDMI cable, right? But they need tourists to come in there and show them, what the latest and greatest is with technology.
I feel like sometimes it's managing maybe 4 or 5 football team rosters. If we can get it down to a basketball team, we're doing a lot better. So right. I'm interested. Tell us something about yourself that may be PG rated that maybe somebody listening or watching doesn't know.
I am, when I'm not working, and I love my job, we have a lot of fun here. That's one thing Bill shared with me. He goes, you'll meet great people and you'll have a lot of fun working here. But I am a home cook, so I'm the cook in the house. If you're watching this, you probably see I probably put on some weight because I recently got a pizza oven. I become a pizza maker at home, which has been so much fun moving to Southwest Florida because that was, I came 6 months later and Bill's like, well, you got to come work for me. And I was like, well, Bill, I work for the Yankees. I'm working for a restaurant. I'm not leaving. He goes, there's got to be something. I'm like, well, I do want to move to Florida. He goes, great. He goes, pack your bags. So that's how we ended up there. So got an outdoor kitchen, outdoor pizza oven, and I love taking my kids. We're big pro wrestling fans. So
nice.
Probably 2 things you may or may not know depending on what's social media.
What's the pizza oven you're using?
I got the Gosney, Gosney Dome. Yeah. Okay. Have you guys?
I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I love doing barbecue.
Yeah.
Especially being in Texas, right? I feel like if I have to choose between pizza and barbecue, living here, I gotta do barbecue. But I've been watching a lot of pizza videos lately, getting super jazzed up. Especially like if I could bring like smoked meats in as toppings.
Absolutely.
Like pork shoulder, a little bit brisket. But I've been looking at a lot of pizza ovens.
Yeah, I'll send you
and
some
they
videos.
run the gamut, right? From $100 to $5,000.
Corey would take 22 hours to make a pizza.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
No way. And you know what?
Well, if you got to smoke a brisket first, maybe.
Yeah, but you can always meal prep that, right?
Sure.
Which is cool. But I did a griddle and the pizza oven, and it's been awesome. It's been so cool. I love
Unknown fact about Corey, he is our lead in our own cooking team here at Taurus.
it. You guys are a barbecue team?
That's right.
Yeah.
Competition
I'm just the
barbecue?
cheerleader. I'm not a part of it. I
Someone's
don't
gotta
have
eat
that
the
skill
food.
set. Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
come on.
That's correct. That's why I'm wearing black. Slimming. No, Corey leads a team. We've been in one competition, but we're probably gonna have a few this year, right?
Yeah, it's usually like invite competitions for, charity events or chamber of commerce type stuff. It's not necessarily Taurus branded, but it's definitely a bunch of members of Taurus get together.
sponsored.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's definitely Taurus sponsored.
We're trying to work out a segment where we have a barbecue competition, so it's just like face Corey. Just we have independents that come in and
Be
taste
awesome.
test.
Be like
Corey's
Chopped.
against somebody
Yeah.
else's here. Yeah, that's it.
Dude, let's
Taurus
do it.
chopped.
Next-
on.
Chris,
I'm
tell
all
us something that someone viewing or watching may not know.
I guess the one I've said the most is that when I went to school, I didn't speak English. English was second language. I don't think I have an accent
That's
anymore.
incredible.
So what's your primary, or what was your original primary language?
I am first generation American. My parents were off the boat from Portugal.
Okay.
And
Amazing.
grandma lived with us. So when grandma lived with us, grandma was not speaking English. So mom and dad worked, blue collar. One's an electrician,
Yeah.
one works at a bank.
So
so
grandma
Yeah,
took care
grandma
of you.
straight up in between Sesame Street and kindergarten. That's how I learned how to speak English.
Are you
and I-
still fluent?
Fluent.
Yeah.
I have a home overseas. That's my other interesting thing is I collect
Oh.
tattoos as I travel. So I've been getting my tattoos done in Portugal. When I
Is
go.
it a weird thing to say? You're gonna have to show me, like.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I
it's
mean,
not
I don't
weird.
know. I don't have
No,
any-
they're very. I mean, they're meaningful. I have 2 birds, one for each of my kids, and
So,
and a compass.
Since you collect tattoos, I have to ask a question. I have another question too, but I see interesting tattoos out in public, and it's I always want to ask, like, hey, what's the story behind that?
Oh, I have stories behind mine.
But I'm super nervous to ask the question because what if it's just like, I don't know, I picked it off the wall,
Or
And then-
I had
and
too
then
many
the whole-
libations.
and then
Yeah.
the whole conversation is sort of meaningless at that point, and I feel like an idiot. But
Do you have any tattoos?
no, not one.
Me either.
I've told my wife, because my wife has a tattoo. I was like, if I'm gonna get a tattoo, it's gonna be something giant, reasonably obnoxious, and it's gonna take a long time to do, and I'm only gonna do it once.
I think you need to get the Taurus brands on your arm.
Careful,
Uh,
we know manufacturers that have done that.
Listen, well, both Aaron and Kevin, the owners here, have it. I think one's got it on their back and the other's got it on their arm. If they pay me enough.
I could see you with a big something like big brisket written on your arm.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
I've always
Bull
said
snot.
I don't really have much. I feel like there's nothing that meaningful in my life that I want to get it permanently tattooed. But I really like barbecue.
There you go.
Listen, we're
So hang on one
okay,
second.
keep going.
When did fluency switch to English?
Immediately, I was young. I don't even remember. My parents were speaking English to push me to speak English. My grandma was speaking Portuguese. I'm fluent in 3 languages.
Okay.
Because Grandpa remarried a Puerto Rican woman, so I got Spanish, I got Portuguese, and I got English.
That's amazing.
It comes in handy when you're doing remote video conferencing installs in Africa. That's when I had to use it in Mozambique and Angola. We were doing some embassy work at the time, and I needed to speak to the integrator out there, and they both are former Portuguese colonies, so they spoke Portuguese, and they're like, hey, who speaks Portuguese? I'm like, this
So
guy.
it's like
Yeah.
call the linguist. We
Yeah,
need
that's an
him.
instant connection too. That man, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's just
That's awesome.
It's a weird thing. It's something that when I go to ISC comes into play. Hopefully, with Infocom going to Mexico, I become the in-house translator. Right, I can speak multiple languages when it comes down to the South and Central America coming up. So if there is an opportunity, I'll be at Infocom Mexico.
My high schooler hates Spanish, and I keep telling her like, you gotta buckle down, baby. She makes great grades. I think it's maybe she just hasn't had an instructor that she can get along with. But I'm telling her, I mean, we deal with it weekly. It's a big advantage.
Well, I took Spanish, and I don't remember anything outside of the basics, like super basics. And so I have 2 young children, and trying to encourage them to learn different things. And so, like, one's in music, the other's in sports. And so in doing research about learning, like 3 to about 9, that's your magic window where they can pick something up and maintain it for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And so I've got my daughter is sort of edging up into that age. I've considered having her, because they don't teach it at that age, right, in public school or even in private school. So I've considered like hiring somebody to help her learn a second education, probably Spanish.
That'll
So
come in handy.
yeah, I'm glad you shared that. That's awesome.
And I can go in and out of the language as well, because se quiseres eu posso começar a falar português contigo, e para as pessoas que estão a ouvir podem perceber aquilo que eu estou a dizer, mas eles não vão perceber nada. So I just basically said that I could
Good thing
speak.
we translated that.
Yeah, good thing you translated.
right here.
So basically I said I could start speaking Spanish, but nobody's going to understand on the other end unless they're prepared for me to speak that. But I can definitely go in and out. And when I speak to my family or to, I go there quite often. I have a home in Portugal. The grandpa built a house. My mom lives there now. My sister lives there. So when I return home, it takes me a day or two to get into the habit of going into it. But I like refreshing the language and learning it. And I spent a lot of summers there because my parents, because they worked, they would put me on a plane with grandma and grandpa who went back to the old country. So they would take me. And at the time, I'm like, yeah, I'm the only 50-year-old that's probably never been to Disney. I've never been there. I never did a Jersey Shore Wildwood. Like, that's where all my friends would go. We went to Wildwood for a week. I'm like, I was in Portugal for 2 months. Like, my parents had to go pick me up.
I spent my summers with grandma, but she didn't speak a foreign language.
No.
I missed out.
No, when I go to the old country, I go to the Red River.
Hey, Bonham.
Yeah, Bonham, Texas.
At least you can drive there, I guess.
Hey, let's circle back to what you said, Dan, earlier.
What's that?
Wrestling fan.
Yeah, you too?
Who's your favorite? Yeah. I want to say I'm a massive fan. I don't have a lot of friends, though, that are fans, and it's okay.
You do
Those
now.
aren't my feelings.
You have 2 new friends now.
Yes.
You can come with us.
All right. So another big question. Dan, who is your current favorite wrestler?
Man, that's a tough question.
It is.
It's a really, really
We'll just
tough
wait for the
question.
next one.
That's easy.
It's right now. It's got no one's doing it like Roman Reigns. I think it's Roman Reigns right
Roman
now.
Reigns is really good,
Like
man.
what he's doing right now and the way he's transformed himself. Like I remember going to events where they were booing him.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't stand him.
Super heel.
And now the way him and Paul Heyman and the way they built that whole bloodline storyline, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. He what he's done for that industry too. And it's pretty easy to just jump online and see what the ratings have done since he's been a part of it, and the storyline that he's in right now is pretty incredible. All right, so a much harder question: favorite wrestler of all time?
Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because
this
what got me
original Hogan, Hollywood Hogan?
original.
Okay.
Original because I remember the very first pay-per-view, I still have the VHS, was WrestleMania 3 where he slammed Andre the Giant, and that was it. Like, that was it. We're probably really close in age, so
man,
that was it. And then from there, even my wife and I were high school sweethearts who've been together since 98, and we just celebrated 27 years being together, right?
That's incredible.
Just amazing. And when we were dating, we went to wrestling. We found like old pictures and stuff like that. Went to like events at Madison Square Garden, in Jersey. I forget, it was Continental Airlines Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Brendan Byrne, right? And then we took a break. We had our first kid, and then we kind of got back into it about 5-6 years ago. And we've been going to events and pay-per-views. We took our kids before we left Pennsylvania to move to Florida. We went to Elimination Chamber.
Oh, that'd have been cool.
And man, it was so much
Premium
fun.
live event.
And the kids like it, right? Like, that's one thing where it's like everything on TV is reality shows. And I guess some could say that's also reality, but it's something we could watch together. And the kids like the storylines. Like, they won't watch the matches much, but they like Chris was saying, the storyline.
It's
the backstage.
It's a violent soap opera. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's our trash TV.
You went easy, man. Come on.
All right, who's your favorite current wrestler?
Current wrestler?
Yes.
It's a tie. I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan.
Okay.
Love Kevin Owens.
Okay.
And I love anything that Sami Zayn touches, but he needs to be at WrestleMania, and he's not going to be there this year. It's the first year he's not.
Is he hurt?
No,
His storyline's just kind of gone away.
But his work with the Bloodline was the best part of the whole Bloodline.
It was pretty interesting.
When he was trying to be he's not feeling Uzi. That whole thing was really good. I like their stuff. I think they're great workers. But
All time,
Razor Ramon.
Dude, what a great call out.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Razor Ramon is, Corey?
Yeah, Razor Ramon, and that because then they went into the whole NWO, and that's when I got back into
He
it.
passed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when they were doing that stuff. Like I liked him as Razor Ramon, but when he became Scott Hall and NWO, I was in college then, and we could not leave. Monday night had to be to find out.
Monday Night Wars, man.
You had to see what was happening in WCW.
I gotta go. I want to go. So
You
my
gotta take your
current
kids.
is Jey Uso.
Oh.
And here's why.
Motivation.
A lot of people. I love Roman Reigns. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
just incredible. Cody Rhodes has a huge following, but what Jey Uso has done with the Yeet and the crowds go crazy.
I'm going to send you a video. We were in Tampa in December for SmackDown, and when it went off air, Jay had a match during the show, and then after the show, the whole Amalie Arena, everybody, security guards, like the place was unbelievable. Everybody was eating. Everybody,
yeah.
the whole place.
And if I'm not mistaken, it just kind of started with just a little bit of funny thing that he wanted to do, and then somebody came out and said, "Well, you can't use that. It's language, or it's been copyrighted or whatever." And then WWE bought that back, and now it's just a whole thing.
Yeah.
All time, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh no, without a doubt, he was.
When you said Razor Ramon, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Razor Ramon, when he stunned him, is like the best reaction anybody. He just used the
4 feet in
bounce
the
of the
air.
mat. It just that was incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm geeking out right now.
Yeah,
I can tell.
It's not intended to
I'm
be
enjoying
a
this.
WWE podcast, but it's turned into that.
But if you want like rising star, I think like guys like Damian Priest have
Yeah.
a good future ahead of him.
Yeah.
Kind of like he's got all the skills.
Yeah.
How about the women? The
Yeah,
women
you
have
gotta
been
get-
stealing the show on the pay-per-views.
Absolutely.
Like Royal Rumble, the women's match, hands down, best match of the night.
Yeah, it was
Like,
great.
Just amazing.
And the
They have a lot of
whole
talent.
crop that they have coming up in the NXT women's division right now is probably better than what you have in the
Yeah.
in WWE right now. Period. So it's
Man,
Is it Steiner's kid or nephew? I mean, he's incredible
Braun
too.
Breaker. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be.
He just got to work his personality a little bit, his
Yeah.
mic work, and that's weird because when you have wrestling fans, this is where it gets bad. It's like you could see the wrestling and you see the show, but then the true wrestling fans are talking about kayfabe and the mic work, and he's got to improve his how to get an audience. I mean, I immediately text Dan when they did the show in Puerto Rico. I'm like, Bad Bunny just won the best entrance ever.
Killed it.
Yeah.
With the drone footage and him coming in and they're playing his music. That whole, from a non-wrestling
I actually
perspective,
saw that.
was amazing.
Yeah.
That moved beyond
Yeah.
this ecosystem. And I say
Yeah.
this ecosystem because I'm outside of it.
Mhm.
But that showed up in my social media, which is
Yeah.
completely unrelated to
Dude, I ran out and
my
bought-
social media is cars and food.
Uh-huh.
And when that happened, I was like, "What is this?
I-
Why is this here?"
I went out and bought a pair of Bad Bunny Adidas
Yeah.
sneakers immediately.
I didn't do
they
that,
put him
but-
on the video game, man.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
on the video game.
Yeah. It was a great showing
Yeah.
for a non-wrestling entrance. It was amazing.
Well, during 2020, WrestleMania was in Orlando, right? At their, what is it called? The Performance Center?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they did the old
And there was a match, I
screens.
think it was Randy Orton and Edge, and they were fighting in the conference room. And I'm like, oh, I sold that Crush on Flex.
Don't break that product. Don't break that. Or break it so I can replace it.
And then, just like any other AV nerd watching anything, right? Like with your family, they're like, oh, don't ruin it for us. It's like when you have people that know really good audio and then they point out bad speakers or same thing
Oh,
with like
that's me.
really good
Yeah.
video. And they're like, I can't watch a TV that hasn't been calibrated because it looks horrible.
Mhm.
And it just ruins it for everybody, right?
That's how I
Yeah.
try to inspire my friends to just give it a shot. Like, come sit with me. I'll talk out the storylines with you. But the first thing is the production value.
Oh yeah.
From when we were kids and we were watching to today.
To now?
I just would be so jealous to sit back in the
We-
production booth with them, whether that be in the truck or right there as they enter. I would just love to listen and be a part of that.
We're not going to name drop, but we have a mutual friend who's in the industry who actually is responsible for creating The Rock
And Stone Cold's entrance.
Stone
And I'm
Cold
going to
entrance.
introduce you to
and
InfoCom.
Edge's entrance
Yeah.
as well.
Well, that'll be another podcast.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah,
be
the
so cool.
story that he told of how he basically sat with The Rock and said, "You're going to start talking about yourself in the third person, and they're going to hate you for it." He goes, "I don't know if that's going to work." Then he went to Vince McMahon and he told him. Vince McMahon's like, "This is not going to work." And then he went out and he grabbed the mic and he said, "Well, The Rock says," and from that point on, it never looked back. It's amazing.
I listened to a podcast with The Rock where he kind of tells that story, kind of telling his origin story about how he couldn't get any traction and nobody, he wasn't sure if he was a bad guy or a good guy or like what he was supposed to be doing. He just couldn't make, he couldn't get traction for the lack of a better term. And then that happened. I don't remember exactly how he tells it happened. And then he was like, he knew from that moment forward that's what he was going to do. That's what it was going to be. It didn't matter what anybody else thought. And it, blew up from there basically overnight, as he tells the story.
And I was going to wear my Austin 316 shirt because I was with Neto and he's cool. So I was just going to wear a sport coat and my Stone Cold t-shirt.
Yes.
That would have won so much.
We would have started with a hug and then
And then we were just
Then you
crashing beers.
Then at the end, end, you have to trade jerseys, like at the end of a sports game. You get his 316 jersey.
I got one more story and then we'll move on from wrestling.
No, we're not. We're going to continue.
My brother and I were big wrestling fans. I was a nerd. My brother's 4 years younger than me. And growing up, we didn't have like all the channels, but we could get WCW, and they had like the Saturday thing, and then we could get we got USA, I believe, where it came out with Raw for the first time.
It used to be on MSG for a long time.
And my brother and I we got the channel, so we watched it one night, and it was just really captivating. And it was right when Stone Cold was first coming out, and you hear that glass break in his entrance and stuff, and he's slamming the beers together. And my dad, most of my life, worked third shift, and so he wasn't really he was getting ready for work to go when we were watching that, and that was not really ever a thing. But he didn't really understand why we were always playing with each other, and I'd come up to my brother and I'd act like I'm gonna stun him, and he's like, "What do you got? What are y'all doing?" And so we said, "Well, come in here before you go eat dinner. Just come in here and watch a little bit of this." And as soon as my dad saw Stone Cold on a promo just slam a couple of beers together, he's like, "That's pretty cool. Yeah, you guys want to go watch that sometime?"
We're down.
And he took us to when Reunion Arena. It's still around, but when it was the only spot here in the Metroplex, he took us to a Monday Night Raw. I'll never forget it. It was incredible. See, it was the first one I went to, the last one I went to until I brought my kids last year. We went to a Friday Night SmackDown at the AAC, and they kind of fell in love. So now, well, Sans my high schooler. She thinks it's not
she's cool though.
But the other four, my other two girls, my wife and I, we'll watch. It's a lot of fun. So
that's
I
cool.
appreciate you guys talking wrestling with me, and Corey, thank you for bearing with us.
Yeah.
No, this has been eye opening.
You want to come over and watch wrestling this weekend? It's 2 days.
We could barbecue.
I would love. Listen, I'll cook. Yeah, no problem.
Bring
What's your go-to barbecue? Like, what's your favorite dish to make? I know it's probably as tough a question as who's your favorite wrestler, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it kind of I feel that, unfortunately. I make a lot of brisket and a lot of pork shoulder, but honestly,
burnt ends?
yeah, I was gonna say, listen,
It's
but
everybody's.
pork belly bacon
Yeah.
burn-ins specifically,
mm,
and I think mostly because it's my arch nemesis. It's one of the more difficult things to make and have it come out like perfect. I feel like pork butt's really not a problem. That's and briskets, more briskets turn out good than bad. So I don't want to say I've got that on lockdown, but it's close.
I love that you're so
critical of yourself, because those pork belly burn-ins are the first thing that is gone as soon as you cook. You better be standing there at the front to get some.
Yeah, they're good. They're a lot of work, but the difference between an amazing pork belly burn-in and like an okay one is the meat tender without the fat completely washing away. There's got to be a bite in both.
You're making me hungry right now.
Yeah. Me too. I'm starving. And there's a 10-minute delta in that process.
Wow.
So.
Well, that is a perfect segue to our next conversation.
From pork bellies to tech. Let's go.
Yes, that is it, man. So we wanted to ask you guys a few interesting questions about probably the most popular subject in not just our industry, but really just tech in general.
Mm-hmm.
And that's AI, artificial intelligence. We want to talk about what that means today for the professional audiovisual industry, maybe even outside of that, where you kind of see it going as leaders in your own right, and being in the mix of a lot of different products, talking to all these manufacturers, getting to go around the world to different shows. So Chris, enlighten us on what AI is and where it is today in 2025.
I'd like to start off by saying that when you talk about AI, I need to clarify that what we know in AV is going to be machine learning for the most part right now. AI is self-thinking. We're talking Terminator, right? It's self-awareness.
Yep.
If it's thinking, it's evolving, it's learning, it's moving. Machine learning is very different. So don't confuse that. There's definitely a marketing angle to that. So that's the first thing I'd like to question the listeners to. True AI, I'm not afraid of. I think that it is going to be a wonderful tool for what we are in business for, was to basically solve problems for our end users. I mean, if you want to get to the root of it, every box we sell, every rack of equipment, every microphone is solving a problem. AI is a problem solver. It can solve problems and do it automatically. So when people kind of put that guard up that says AI and AV just don't mix, and I told you before I was coming on, I could probably be a curmudgeon when it comes to that. I see the value of AI, but we're not seeing the true value of AI hitting our shores yet. When it does,
and I think
it's
an
awesome.
important distinction in what you said is there is far less true AI in the products we're using than what you think there are.
Yeah.
Most of it, and so we work a lot with private developers for software development.
Mm-hmm.
And so this conversation comes up ad nauseum in our weekly calls with the developers. And it's a big joke. It's, like, hey, how are we going to introduce AI into your software? And it's like, well, really, it's machine learning, right? And I'm okay with the marketing ploy. I can get behind that 100%. Yeah. But I think it's good for buyers out there, people are interested to understand the difference.
And let me clarify. It depends on the vertical as well. So in the UC space, we're going to lean towards automatic cameras, steerable microphones, steerable audio, right? Where AI, that's a very simple thing to solve, right? You turn on, you connect. Maybe it's analyzing how many people are in the space, how long, how much eye contact you have with the camera versus, is your camera placed in the right place? Because are people actually looking forward to your camera? These are things that could benefit UC, room usage and stuff like that. But I think the real benefit to AI is when you start, if you switch verticals, you start now looking at broadcast. In broadcast now, AI tools for editing. I spent many hours as a communications student, like cutting film and splicing audio, very manual process. And then when it moved to Avid and stuff like that, it was automated, made life easier. But now, what I used to sit in a lab for, I do with my phone in 30 seconds. It's amazing. And where AI is right now is a topic that I'm very, that I will probably debate anybody on anytime, any place, which is the good enough movement. Good enough is prevalent It's the true pandemic. Good enough is it's okay.
You got to put money in the storage jar. You said the
Yeah, I did. But
Hope you brought some
good
cash.
enough is a pandemic in our industry. And the reason why I say that is good enough gets accepted, where we, as AV people, purists, and I will romanticize AV here for a sec, but we believe in good lighting, good audio, good sound control, proper color calibration, stuff like that. Good enough washes over that and just says it's good. It's okay. It's what we need. It gets the job done at X price. When we, as professionals, used to be known as wizards and magicians, we would get a box of crap, and it was OFE 90% of the time. And can you do this with that control panel that I want to buy? And in there was a blender. It was like Chopped, right? You get handed a box of stuff and say, hey, we need to reuse this equipment because it's 3 years old. And we get a control system, and can we get updated speakers? And those speakers are too much, so we're going to get rid of that that audio conferencing system that's above our head. We're just going to put that little starfish phone on top of the table, and that's good enough. Not, a conference phone on the table was good enough. I spent 13 years as an end user. Trust me, I was the guy handing the box, and I was given, in meetings where I had to fight IT, I had to fight facilities. This is what the integration side doesn't see. Like when you're an inside AV person, I have my CTS. I know what I'm talking about. I know like what I want to bring to a room. And then I'm arguing with a facilities person who just bought a 65-inch TV at Best Buy. And he says, well, I can see this. I can see ESPN ticker from across the room. I'm like, but you don't understand that PowerPoint natively does 11-point Calibre.
Yeah.
Like go back 20 feet and sit at the furthest end. Well, why do we have to calibrate based on that? I'm like, where do you want me to do it? From the front? So there's that line that we're always have to teeter. What is good enough and what is our quality standards? And as technologists, that's the hardest part, is finding that balance, right? Because good enough, a lot of times you're just like, yeah, you get by. It's a conference room. It's a display. It allows us to put something up there. Is that okay? Is that what you really truly want? Do you want?
And you feel like that AI is going to push us past the good enough market,
because it will calibrate your stuff. Yeah. It will know that a THX standard is this, and we can set the black levels to this, and we can, I remember years early on in the early plasma days of when plasma switched to LED or LCD at the time, and people were like, "Oh my God, I got to give up my deep blacks." Like, there's true video files that are still mad that they lost their plasma.
I've maintained to this day
Plasma was the best blacks.
Plasma has the best color, the best image.
Do you still have one?
I did until very recently.
I still got one.
Yeah, it's in a secret war room.
It is.
It was in our master bedroom for the longest time, and I'd go in there and be like, oh, like a dark movie.
Yes.
You watch a dark movie on a plasma in a dark room versus the LED that's in our living room. It's not the same.
No.
It's not the same.
Watch the new the new Batman was good for that reference. Really dark, and it was shot using like old Russian lenses and DSLR cameras for certain scenes. It's pretty wild.
Well, my wife and I will be in the living room. We'll be watching a TV show. It gets kind of dark or whatever. And she's like, I don't even know why we watch this. This is terrible.
Game of Thrones.
That was Game of Thrones is a perfect example. Like, let's go in the bedroom and watch it on the plasma. And we'd go in there, and she's like, this is great. It's significantly better. But the thing weighs 9 million pounds. It wants to break the shelf.
You can fry an egg on it.
Yeah, you could fry it. Heat the bedroom, like just leave it on for the day when it's cold outside.
It keeps his brisket warm.
Yeah, I use it as a warmer outside now.
Hey, Chris, give us. You spoke early about machine learning versus AI. Mm-hmm. Give people a definition or an example of machine learning.
Camera tracking is machine learning. Okay. That's the easiest one. It is identifying you, but it's not giving you a report on you. It's not telling you about your face. It knows that you are a body.
It's not recording anything. It's using a technology that is baked into its firmware to use points of reference, facial recognition, but it doesn't know that it's Corey Church.
No.
That's machine learning.
That's a perfect example of machine learning. The thing that when I've tried to explain it to other people is it's a set of code base that's written a certain way to behave a certain way to inputs and outputs. Whereas AI can alter
And vary.
and vary its own code base, if you will, based on its inputs and outputs. And if it's decent AI, it will track those over time. And so an example of maybe something that could be AI camera tracking is watching when the sun, goes back and forth between the building, and it knows at 3 p.m. it's cloudy and there's no sun, so I'm going to do this with my camera settings, my
exposure.
Where machine learning tells you it is winter,
right.
and in winter we can't face the camera this way because the sun is at a certain angle.
It's not going to take into account, potential weather, the number of bodies in the room, light absorption, your jacket that's, light colored and his jacket that's dark. Whereas true AI camera tracking could take all of these variables and adjust the parameters in a way that could intelligently change the camera's settings to create the best possible environment, to take it all the way back to what you said about good enough. And I find that good enough is really is a cost problem, right?
I've referred to it as a cop-out, but that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine, but not
Me too,
everybody
buddy.
has, and to kind of straw man the argument, not everybody has 20 grand to spend on a room. Maybe they
100%.
have 10.
There's
And so you have no
time and
choice but
place.
to do good enough if guys like Robert and I and our company are going to remain profitable. But when AI gets to that point, we can do both. We can go to the customer and go, hey, I can value add this. I can make it way better for like $2 grand more. We can add this AI engine. It will make it like a production studio within a couple of percentage, right? And that's what I'm hoping for.
Yes.
Is to provide a better end product with the assistance of AI.
Yeah, I agree.
Dan, what is your favorite piece of AI that you use today? Maybe not necessarily in our industry. Do you use AI, I guess, is my first question.
I use it, and I truly believe AI and large language models, machine learning, everything. I think for high performers, it will give them so much of their time back, which is the ultimate currency, right?
Well said.
Because it's amazing when you learn the utility, right? And I was thinking about, as we're, here and talk about AI, and that's obviously a big topic. I remember when I first got introduced into crypto.
Yeah.
And everybody is just enamored with the fanfare of, oh my gosh, we can make a lot of money. It's a quick hit. But as we all know, it's so hard to predict, right? But I had a friend who invested really, really early, and he said, don't look at the dollars, look at the utility. And I think that's the same thing applies to AI. So if there's something I can do with the AI assistant that I can get, 3 hours worth of work done in 3 seconds or 3 minutes, like that's the X factor for me. And being able to use those tools to get even better or help our team or, to get to your question, efficiency.
Yeah.
I've been using Grok. I think it's hysterical with the different personas. Have you used it yet?
I have not.
Unhinged mode. That's my favorite.
I haven't gone through all of them. I just recently added it onto the phone. I've been using ChatGPT for a lot for like simple things like, you're in Salesforce and you can't export something. You could take a screenshot of it, put that picture in and ask it questions. A friend of mine found some old G.I. Joes, took a picture of it, put it in there and started asking AI, what was the last sell price? When did this release? What was the name of this toy? Just incredible. And from my days being on the residential side, I have friends that are looking for drivers in Crestron or programming older Crestron system, and they're letting AI write the drivers and write some of the code that he used to have to outsource and send someplace else. So when we talk about utility, efficiency, it's really whatever you could do with it. And, for a lot of Gen Xers, we grew up, I remember the first time like, oh, just Google it. Well, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
What does Google mean? And now why would I waste time in Google and read through pages when I could at least get a high level overview? We actually had some of our leadership, they were getting ready to do a big presentation, and we were reviewing a PowerPoint that they're going to go and present. And someone that was presenting said, have you read that book, Good to Great? And I said, no, because I love business books. It's
It's a great book.
It's my favorite. I have not read it. and this is probably a year and a half ago, but I said, let me see if I get you the Cliff Notes. He's like, oh, okay, and not paying attention and continue to build the PowerPoint. And I said, if you were doing an executive briefing and you were going to talk and make reference to this specific group about this, what would be the 3 most important takeaways from the book? And I did it. We were on a Zoom call. I sent it in text, and he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, this is amazing. Perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for. The exact references that were there. And I'll tell you one more story that's just mind-blowing is I was actually on an R&D call with a manufacturer in Europe, and they were grilling me. Like, it was unbelievable. It was like an interrogation. And they wanted to talk about future projects. And I was waiting for it. Had like that accent of like the European diehard actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of funny. And they're asking me all these questions. It was a 2-hour R&D call.
Wow.
So they were asking me, well, what's your thoughts on this product? And what do you think about AI? And what do you think about all these other things? And it was for a friend of mine that I used to work with on the factory side. He's like, hey, I need you to be a subject matter expert. I need you to talk to these engineers and set them straight, like so we could make these particular products. So out of a 2-hour interrogation, thank you.
Under the sweat lamps.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. On Teams, I didn't even know they were using Copilot. But my friend, the very next day, he called me and he's like, hey, how'd it go? And after a 2-hour conversation, I gave him 3 takeaways. The very next day, he sends on an iPhone screenshot from Copilot Dan's top 3 takeaways that I gave him. Exactly. The exact bullet points. And it was just absolutely incredible to see. So I think that for people that have, 4 meetings at 2:00 and they're trying to take their kids and do something at 4:30, and there are meetings where you don't have to host, but you still need to be able to do action items and next steps. And then Copilot's going to play a big role. And then some of the other tools, on a retail level that anybody could download, it's all in how you prompt it. It's all in how you prompt it. It's how you use it. And you could really get a lot out of that technology.
I was waiting for you to name drop Hans Gruber, and that you came off like you ended up on the floor after falling from the Nakatomi Tower.
You said something that I've been trying to hold on to in my head while I'm listening here, and I think the biggest hurdle for me in using AI in my day-to-day is how to use it. It seems pretty intuitive, but
It's the act of walking and talking to this thing to give you answers. To me, is the hardest part.
well, I've spent the most of my adult years using Google as a tool, so I know how to format search criteria. Like, you don't like a lot of people ask Google search box a question,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not how you get good search results. It's brackets and quotations and capitalization and structuring to get top results.
You're like the ultimate Google nerd.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time.
A lot of time programming too.
Yeah. I mean, I was a Crestron programmer for half a decade, a little more. Extron programmer, little tiny bit of AMX, but so Google was my AI, and so to be good at that, to find things in user manuals and whatnot. Even learned to speed read at one point, which now I can't undo, unfortunately. So I can't read a book like a normal person. So I just have to listen to it. I don't know how to read anymore. Not like I just read every third or fourth
Bullets.
word. Yeah, I don't.
That's everybody.
But if you
bullets.
read and I'm sorry to get off on a tangent, but if you read like a fiction story and that's your thing you like to do,
Every third word's not going to help.
I don't get the story. I read a couple of pages.
What did Gandalf do?
And then I'm reading books to my kids and I sound like a third grader because I'm reading I'm trying to skip all the words. But I think, and maybe this is something you and I should take on as an action item, but how to use AI, how to interface with Grok or ChatGPT or any of the other tools to, I'm having to relearn how to use a freaking search engine all over again.
Here we go again.
Well, that is your engine now. And it's in that prompting. And I think what's helped me is learning from others about don't don't stick with the first response it gives you. Keep asking. It's kind of like in sales, right?
Yeah.
No just means not now, right? You just didn't qualify them. You didn't ask the right questions. You didn't find out what they needed. So, when you continue on those prompts, it's really interesting. Or, in some of the feedback, like you read it and like I immediately spot AI on social media posts, especially when you see people that use like my unwavering support, right? Like,
Yes.
there are some keywords on there that has came right from the IT.
I always use unwavering. I don't know what you're talking about.
You never do it. You have a Jersey education. Like
Yeah,
no, sorry.
Well,
Sorry, friend.
I've only recently learned.
I
It's
purposely
like
leave things misspelled.
I've only recently learned, like, hey, you like, hey, proofread this, give me a slightly better version of it,
Yeah.
and then it spits back an overly AI thing, and then I just take that and run with it. And I recently learned it's like, hey, refine this a little more, or here's some sample writing from me, make it sound more like me,
No, make it sound like Darth Vader.
or
Yes.
I love
whomever.
those things.
Just pick whoever.
Yeah,
I struggle with the genuineness of using some of the tools, especially for anything that's going to write something for us. It's not that I am too proud. It's not that. I want it to be
Authentic.
me. Yes,
It's gotta be
and,
you.
and I want it to be heartfelt if it needs to be heartfelt, or very directive based if it needs to be that. And so I'm still learning those efficiency tools. But going back to what you said, I think it's extremely powerful when we can create more time for ourselves in the right path. Then it's going to be a better outcome. No matter if you're in sales, if you're in engineering, if you're a leader trying to migrate a new network system over to another path. It's any of that time that you can get back in your day to day is just going to pay dividends. It could be that we get to spend more time with our family. And so, yeah, I think the tools, especially around efficiency, are amazing. I imagine they'll continue to grow. I'm inviting someone to each one of my meetings that is just fairy dust AI, and I'm asking the customer, is it cool if I just for some notes and action item takeaways? And everyone, it's just becoming a lot more common.
Well,
We
yeah.
talked about QR codes earlier. It's to me where QR codes were 5 years ago. That's where people are realizing that, okay, to have this thing join my video conferencing meeting for the notes, the action items, the heavy ones, that's just a no-brainer for everyone involved. So everyone gets a copy of that, and now we can move about and be as productive as possible.
Or even simple things where we're all having conversation and the recap and the links, right? Like, oh, I want to send you a link to Ghazni Dome. How cool would it be that I'm already in the car going to the next event, and you already have the link to the Ghazni Dome. I maybe reference my favorite YouTuber that I learned how to make dough from, and it's already in your inbox. And then you also hit me up because, you know what, I've been thinking about a green egg, or I'm thinking about going back into into smoking again, doing some competition level barbecue. Like, it's so cool for it to be able to pick up on those things and then deliver, right? How many times it's like, oh man, I forgot to text that to you, or I was going to send that to you, and just life got in the way. So being able to find the silver lining in it is going to be great.
Years ago, we had a customer in New York, a healthcare organization that Corey and I are very familiar with. Well, won't say their name. And one of the guys we constantly communicated with had a great little tag after their signature, but only when they sent it from their mobile devices. And it was, please excuse the brevity of this message as it was sent with my personal device. And I just loved it because it offered a little bit of, okay, well, most people don't know necessarily what brevity means, so it makes me look a little bit smarter. So I'm gonna copy and paste that to there. So we had a little social experiment about 6 months ago, and I changed that for the first time in like a dozen years. I changed it to, please excuse the brevity as this was sent via Skynet. And the social experiment was just to see actually who looks at it. And
Who's reading?
Who actually tags me back. And I had a little bet with my friend, and I said, okay, I give it 2 days. Somebody's going to say something, like big Terminator fan, James Cameron. And nobody said anything. It was so disappointing. It went on. I left it on there for like a month and a half. A customer mentioned it and said, I got a kick out of the tagline after your signature and your mobile device. And that's when I removed it because I had checked that box. But then I explained to him that it was just a little bit of fun and a side bet with a buddy. But a lot of people are afraid of what AI is.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's that they've garnered that through a show or a movie, just conjecture back and forth. Or like I said, something funny like Skynet taking over in Terminator. So Chris, can you unpack why there would be fear and should there be any fear around it, whether it be in the Pro AV market or not?
Absolutely. The example I can give you right now that is happening currently is that in the digital signage space, the graphic designers that would be creating the daily graphic, that goes up into your digital signage have been replaced by AI. Menu boards, today's cafeteria serving burgers. That's done with AI now. It's, they find the graphic, they put that up. It used to be somebody whose job was to create that. Unfortunately, those jobs have now started to diminish. And, there's an argument of AI versus art versus creativity versus, borrowing other people's work and creating, what AI does. AI will scrape the net, find some stuff, and then repurpose it and give you a design. Now, the Mona Lisa will have, two noses, but it's a version of. So it struggles with creativity in that sense. But some of the AI art's pretty interesting if you're into that trippy type of stuff, if you can get with that. But I see the issue of job loss when it comes to what we're trying to buy back in efficiency is costing, the graphic designer's job. Because we just need I just need this slide that says today's cafeteria serving burgers. It's hard to have that talk, but it can be done immediately, and it can be done weeks ahead of time. And that can be switched very quickly. And it's not I don't have to put in a trouble ticket to get it redone. You just,
it's super simple. Hey, AI, Monday we're having burgers. Insert a burger graphic.
Yes.
Tuesday is tacos. Insert a taco graphic. Make it a little interesting. Wednesday we're having chili dogs.
yes.
So forth and so on.
Yeah, on Wednesday, use a pink background because on Wednesday we wear pink. I use a lot of pop references, but that
I love it.
that kind of stuff is you're talking into a microphone and it's getting done.
Yeah.
As opposed to having a meeting about it.
Well, and in that
efficiency.
situation, it may just be as simple as, if we're talking about AV-driven tools, AI inside, it may be insert any digital signage engine, and it's just got an email address associated with it. And you just send it an email like you would any other person. Hey, Chris, update our menu board. Well, Chris is Chris AI at whatever piece of equipment.com,
Mm-hmm.
or it's a microphone, or it's an app on your phone, or it's a website you go to, and you just interface to it like a real person. I think the job loss thing will be short term.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to just
adjust.
it's going to be replaced.
Because there's a level of resiliency that they'll find maybe like a curator for AI, and that could be a new position where someone was maybe a graphic designer. Now they're just taking the job of feeding information to AI, right?
Listen, NFTs created NFT galleries,
That's
which
great.
now are using high-end monitors to display NFTs.
I mean, my hope in specifically the healthcare space, and not to pick on it too hard, but when's the last time you've done anything in the healthcare space where you felt really genuinely attended to? Right? My hope is
Call anything or anybody and try to get through to a live person.
right. I hope that in that space alone, or the financial, institutions, where AI can step in, keep the same number of people, reduce the same, the workforce some, whatever is smart for their business, but increase the customer service aspect in those environments. That's certainly what we're hoping to do, is make our lives a little easier so that the people who are good at what they do can do it better. Yeah. The sales folks, our support engineers, our programmers.
AI can't change lamps.
It can't change lamps, but it also can't show up on a job site and be attentive.
Yeah.
But it can put in your notes. It can take care of your time entries. It can take care of all of the mundane tasks that take you away from at least in our industry, really serving the true purpose, which is providing an excellent experience for the end user, the customer.
The experience is the key. Being 13 years on site as an on-site technician, there were some hurt locker moments where I walked into spaces and it was like, I got to talk down, 20 executives that are mad because a line dropped and it had nothing to do with me. Where's IT when you need them, right? Like the call dropped, it had nothing to do with my system, right? Or when it did, it was the worst. And that's where we're getting better is the Microsoft world and the Zoom worlds where they started doing their certification of their systems. Being an on-site guy, my number one problem was who did an update overnight and who just knocked, the Polycom off my, Crestron because Polycom did an update overnight. And next thing you know, you're scrambling, and we didn't have the funds to have an on-site programmer. So it would be a trouble ticket, and that room goes down, and that room goes down for how long? And every executive wanted that room because that was their room. And then you have to explain to them, like, AI is not going to take that guy down off the ledge. That was my job.
Yes.
Hostage negotiation, hurt locking. That was kind of like my
It's a good
thing.
analogy.
Yeah.
I really like
That's
that.
great.
Yeah.
I've definitely been in that seat a number of times as a programmer. You walk into a space and a lot of people are upset, and your job is to de-escalate and start to resolve problems as quickly as possible. And it never works out for the AV integrator to go, it's the IT guy, call me
Never.
when he's on the phone. For whatever reason, that's not the acceptable answer. Even though if the roles are reversed, I've had it happen many a time where the IT guy's like, it's the AV system, call us back later. And doesn't, and maybe it's because, of the seat I sit in.
You bring up a good point when you talk about the medical field. I have a really good friend who's in medicine, and try and explain AV to them. It's like, imagine you have a dermatologist, a neurologist, a chiropractor, and a dentist. They got to do it all. I don't know about that.
No.
That's, but that's what we are. We can't just point fingers. Like we're the solution. We have to find the solution. They're looking to us to be able to get that room back online.
Did you know that dogs can't run an MRI machine,
That's right.
but cats can?
Jeez.
Oh.
Dad jokes.
Can
That's
we
better than
insert
mine.
I thought it was a good
I
attempt.
love it.
hi-hat snap?
Oh.
Jeez.
He's here all night.
So
I thought it was a good spot.
It
I've been-
was. It was good. You must have been holding on to that one for some time.
I usually keep about 6 or 7 different subject matter to where we'll dance around them. Did you know I got a new pen? It can write underwater.
Okay.
It can write other things too, but sorry.
His shtick is
that was
dad
a
jokes.
That was a cricket.
And my shtick is not laughing at them. So
Yeah, he's really good at that. He always makes me feel great about myself.
that's my goal.
Sorry, I butted into you. What were you going to
No, you're fine. One of the questions that has kind of come up in my brain as we navigate this, we talked a little bit about machine learning versus AI. Most of the products in the AV market space really are using machine learning, which is fine. They're amazing products. But how long do you think, and I'm just throwing this out, so whoever gets to it first, great. How long before we see true AI responsiveness in some of these AV boxes or software tools, or, I know that they're in the works, but when do you think we'll see them in the marketplace?
So let me be very clear. In June in Orlando, you're going to TariffCom, and
Tariff com.
so when we have
Excellent.
to get through this year, right?
Gotcha.
Let's get through that the headache first.
Sure.
I honestly don't. I think we're about 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
And
If we don't get waylaid right
Yes.
this year too badly, I mean,
badly.
we're going to be, but
no, it was,
again, a whole other topic and
we were
podcast.
well on to a very heavy AI conversation infocom until recently. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of questions. It's similar to the first year back from being Thanos snapped for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So we went away, we came back, and then where's our products? Like, we need our stuff. And there was a very angry infocom then, where everybody just showed up and said, "That's awesome. Where's my stuff? Ship it,
Yeah.
find it, get it to me. This year is going to be obviously. I made a reference to TariffCom, but there's a lot of questions and a lot of answers that we don't have.
Yeah, it's just the
manufacturers
world
are-
we're navigating right now.
We're trying to navigate through that.
We're
So
getting
that-
our stuff, but now it's too expensive.
So that will be the number one buzzword. That's my prediction
Yeah.
for Infocom, and that's an easy one, followed by AI. And I think the conversation of AI is still, it's coming. Like I said, full disclosure, we recently put out a press release that we have an investment arm inside of Midwich called it Midwich Ignite, correct? And we recently invested in AI. It's not the first company we've invested in. We actually invested in a company that did translation. But what's cool about it is doing the tone. So it was your voice being translated into different languages with your tone of voice. So you would read this whole script, and then it would understand your enunciations.
Yeah.
And then it would, when it put it into the translator mode and you were speaking Italian, it sounded like you.
Wow.
So it was to make a better experience for somebody, so it doesn't seem like the old kung fu movies with the overdub. So we done that, and then this new company that we've invested in, and that's full disclosure, that's out there, is a company called NetSpeak, who's actually created their own AV AI language, and I think that's the first step, understanding that we needed our own language, and now working with manufacturers to get their the APIs and stuff like that is a first step, and that is for preventative maintenance, trouble ticketing, and stuff like that. I think they're on the right path. But again, for everybody else now to catch up, everybody's working on it. It's just a matter of when are they going to release it. And AV notoriously only releases things 2 times a year. In February, over in Barcelona, or in June, telling you that it's going to ship the following February.
Well, they announce it.
They announce. There's a
Shipping-
lot of
shipping
there's a
soon.
lot of announcing, a lot less shipping, but the product announcements will come out. I mean, insight into it. I think that as an industry, we need it. We want it. We kind of want it. I think people are just when it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to decipher what's marketing and what's not. So
Yeah.
we got to go through that, and that's another 12 months of that. And we're going to get very well versed in the next 12 to 18 months about it, and that's when it'll finally hit the shores that we're going to be.
And what we
doing some
know
good stuff.
is that it is here to stay.
Yeah.
And embracing that is something that we just all need to realize. And there's going to be a lot of education around that. And so we want to encourage everyone in the market to get that education, to stay on the bleeding edge of it. It's not like 3D movies,
No.
which was a little bit of a gimmick thing.
It was
AI is not that.
No.
going back through our true innovation as an industry. Where have been those seminal moments, right? I think wireless HDMI was a boom.
Mm-hmm.
When ClickShare first came out, and there was a handful of other manufacturers working at it, but Barco was the first out the gate. Wireless HDMI changed things because there was no way you were going to tell somebody that you can get that signal to there wirelessly. Video, audio, no problem. Video was kind of mind blowing. Some of the stuff I think that we're going and we're watching now with the LED as it becomes smaller, brighter, faster, prettier, chip on board, COB. I can't keep up with all the acronyms, but that technology to the point, and eventually it will become the stuff that we've kind of all envisioned, that we were just going to get a custom, build your own TV at home.
Mhm.
You need 55? Well, just buy the parts and just
Plug them in like Legos.
Yes. But everything else, when Apple created iPhone, it was never intended for the corporate space. And there was a resistance like everything else.
Yeah.
And corporate IT said, no way. We have our tried and true BlackBerry. They're not going anywhere. We'll keep using that until the wheels fall off. Right. And then all of a sudden, one executive got an Apple iPhone, and the next thing you know, make it happen.
Yeah.
And all the security concerns disappeared.
Yeah. It's a really great point.
Door address.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like, it's out, and it's only going to get progressively, further along.
Fun little tidbit about the iPhone. Apple bought the iPhone domain in 1999, and I believe it was 2006 or 2006 when they released the first iPhone. So you talk about time to market, right? It took a long time I mean, there was vision way ahead, and I think people just see a product show up and just assume like, oh, they started working on that last week. Likely, most of the manufacturers have been working on this AI thing outside of just a marketing gimmick
for years.
for years now. And I've sat on a few councils where you're NDA'd, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these conversations have been had already. It's just, when is it viable? When is it the right time? Are we ready to be first to market? Is it going to be clunky? How polished? And some manufacturers are really good about having a polished product, and some don't mind making us the beta guy.
Yeah. You know what sucks though? We're gonna get AI before we get the other cool things. Like, where the hell is holographic video? And where are we with like gesture control? Like,
It's on the roadmap.
years. It's
on the roadmap. Well
Everything.
said, Dan.
Dude, everything. I mean,
That's
there's
great.
so many cool geeky things that we've seen on like, movies and stuff, and Minority Report and Demolition Man about conferencing and,
Mhm.
gesture controls. And we don't get that. We're going to get AI first. Like, all right, kiddies, let's put that off to the side. Those are all cool things, but we can't figure out what to do with that. We're going to figure out first what to do with AI first. I mean,
I
Maybe
think
one drives the other.
yeah, you never know. I
Yeah.
think that the AI will then eventually fuel the other.
Yeah.
So,
if you could figure out Minority Report gesture control to a video wall, it'd be game over.
yeah.
Like, if there's a company out there listening right now, you should be first to market to that. Because in the oil and gas industry, could you just imagine?
There was a product like that. at one
Yeah.
time.
Oblong
Yeah,
with the Wii
Should've known,
controllers.
Chris. Would have known it. That was pretty. It was pretty cool.
It was pretty wild. But man, the setup for that
Yeah.
was, I mean, but that was also at the time
When
when we
it's-
believed that, $500,000, what are they called? The old telepresence rooms. That
Yeah.
we thought that was the
Oh,
coolest thing on the planet.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that gave birth to all-in-one simplified systems.
Yes.
Because the one thing that the, $1 million telepresence room taught us was that we sucked at the interfaces, because that was all driven by a pick up the phone. Hello, I would like to place I'm here for my meeting. You would hang up the phone and things would magically connect. That's what we have with Zoom today and with Microsoft today. And it's just a button press. We've searched, as a former programmer, the one goal, your, mountaintop that everybody was trying to, was a one button press solution.
Yeah.
The least amount of pages, least amount of buttons, not to minimize what you were doing, but that was the goal.
Well, that's the most difficult thing to do.
It is.
As a former programmer, it's easy to put all of the individual controls on a page. The hard part is to condense all of that down into
It's like
a time.
Nirvana. That's
Right.
that's your ultimate Zen.
And we used to do, back in my day, we had several executives who just, I want to walk into a room, press a big red button on a wall, and
Easy
it
button.
does the shades at the time of day I want them and the lights, and turns the TV on to the program at this time of the day. And that's at the time, that's a manual thing that, like, it's going, what time is it? What time of year is it? What's happening in the building?
Where's the sun?
Right. Who pressed the button?
Uh-huh.
And then do all of these things. And so you might have 15,000 steps to review before the thing happens.
The one thing that we've always craved in AV is the personalization of our technology.
Yes.
And that has been the hardest part. Again, AI can assist with that.
Yeah.
Personalization of tech is what every executive wanted. This is my space. This is what I want. Now, a common room can be identified with AI, and you walking in, it knows you, it recognizes you, whatever the case is that AI is thinking or doing. It now knows that you do not like to use two monitors. It will condense it to just the left monitor for you, because your tendency is you want a single monitor.
Yeah. I
Well,
anticipate.
welcome back, Chris. We recognize that you only want to see one monitor and one focal point. We've set that up. Your camera's ready to go. Let me know when you're ready to start.
Absolutely.
We anticipate. I anticipate the as fast pace as the UC space has been since the P word.
2020.
Yeah,
Since 2020.
since 20. Yeah. Why didn't I just say the date? I anticipate that AI will push that even faster for the next 5, which I think is really exciting. I don't have fear around it anymore. I think people need to embrace it. And I think they should be exciting about what it'll offer us in our professional and personal lives.
Driving the technology is the important part. We get very comfortable. We are very much a mac and cheese industry. We love comfort food
Yes.
of technology. And if it works, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. If it's okay, don't improve it. It's fine. Don't mess with my things. I cleaned that
But
up.
so many of them haven't come to the party yet.
No.
Like, and that's, I think, Corey, with your question, as far as like, what does it look like next few years? It's almost like, when's the best time to buy the stock? Today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Or yesterday, right? I didn't look today. I didn't look.
Try not
But-
to look.
But
Yeah.
when's the best time to buy? It's today. And there's so many rooms out there. It's a bad experience, right? So you guys have the hardest job in the whole food chain.
Yeah.
Because the manufacturing side, we could sit in rooms, dream up the greatest product in the world, hardware, software, spin boards, test it. But you guys have to interface with the end user, with the end customer.
Thanks for validating that, Dan, because I feel like that all the time. We have the hardest job, Corey.
You have the hardest job. I sit behind a desk.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it.
But the thing is they need to buy now. Like you can't just wait, right? Like if you had to buy an SUV tomorrow to take the kids or on vacation or
Yes.
get to work, you have to buy now. And the technology is so good. I was recently at a conference a few months ago, and one of the thought leaders that was presenting said that today, whatever day it was, there was more technology created today than all of last year.
Wow.
Right? It's powerful to think about where it's going. And then a mentor of mine told me when you're selling technology, it's like selling time. To go back to my time story, right? So it's like, okay, you're going to wait for the next product, but what is your company going to miss? And Microsoft does a really good job of this as well, quantifying the value of a room, right? How much is an offline room? And you guys, I'm sure, with all your tools with Bullseye and everything.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I had a good nickel tour. With all the tools that you have, right? There's no reason not to start. Like you have to start because if you have rooms that are offline, you walk down a beautiful facility like yours, customers come in. I can only imagine the ideas for the end user where they're like, "Oh my gosh, I need a room just like that." My engineers also, or my designers, or my marketing people, they're constantly at odds, right? And there's emails being fired back and forth. But if we got locked in a room and we don't let them out, and we don't even let them order lunch or DoorDash or Grubhub or anything until they come up with a solution, like that's the X factor, right? Like that for you guys as, integrators, you're integrating the technology, but you're also bringing that experience. And it continues to grow. Like Chris and I are walking the floor at NAB, the broadcast show. Years ago, it was a bunch of camera guys, audio files, news crews. And now anyone with a smartphone, they're a content creator. And the level of user that was there and decision makers, it was incredible to see. And that's all now our business, right?
Yeah,
So
look at YouTube content creation and the money that they're making out of that with 2 or 3 people.
or Instagram Reels or TikTok or any of those vehicles.
Podcasts.
Yeah. Podcasts. Guys, thank y'all so much for being on the show today. It was incredible. I could talk to y'all for hours, especially just WWE. We could just talk WWE.
When you're ready to do the wrestling show, we got at least
No, you
one or
guys
two
are coming
more.
to InfoCom, right?
we'll be at
Let's-
InfoCom.
let's
We're
do
gonna do the show again with you guys,
We'll
and
tour
then
the,
it'll be
and-
dress up as your favorite character. Okay.
No, we're going to tour the Performance Center.
Ooh,
Dan's going
yeah.
to hook it up.
Oh gosh, this is
No,
gonna
you
be
know what
great.
we'll do, Chris? Chris has a little bit of pull in the Midwich group. Why
No,
don't
I
we,
don't.
What? Yes, you do. Don't, Chris, come on. We know you're famous on TV.
He's like, don't put me on the spot like that.
I think we need to do a Taurus Tech Talk live episode about wrestling with our special guest at InfoCom.
We'll get Joe D. to be
I'll see you
to
there.
wear the referee shirt.
We have a podcast studio, and we
do.
should do a Taurus
You're more
Tech
than
Talk.
welcome to record
You
live.
guys can record from that studio.
You guys set it up. We'll be there.
It's set
Done.
up. No. Let's put it out there.
Let's do it.
Hashtag AV on Air has been operational now for a bunch of years. We put together a 4 microphone setup, produced 3 camera setup. You can book the time. That's available to your listeners too if they want to record. Contact us at Midwich or me, and you can book time. So if you want to do a daily show from the show floor, it gets pumped up to our cloud. You grab it down. Your producers and
Nice.
your editors can grab
That's
it,
awesome.
cut it, and you could do, Taurus Live from InfoComm.
Well, it's a deal then. It's a done deal.
So-
Look for us there,
We'll
folks.
throw the contact information on screen.
There you go.
Awesome.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks for having
I hope
us,
y'all
guys.
enjoy your time here in Texas. You get to go visit a Buc-ee's.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, try some
list, bucket
Texas barbecue.
I tried Whataburger, man. I'm halfway
It's
there.
pretty fantastic.
It is. It was better than I expected.
Thank you guys very much. Y'all have a great day.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you guys.